Doppelgangland. Vampire Willow from The Wish is accidentally transported to the normal timeline.
So you said Doppelgangland? I mean, it could be like Doppelgangland. We open with the demon confronting a now human Anya, who is upset about being immortal and trapped at the high school.
Which would be totally understandable.
At school, Willow is practicing her CGI skills, which still need some work.
And she does it right out in public.
Yeah, it's good no one was looking in her direction to accuse her of being a witch and trying to burn her at the stake again. Because that just happened.
They discuss Faith and how she's crazy, and Willow's emotional reaction leads to her pencil flying out and stabbing a tree, while dumb TNG Season 1 music plays.
Emotional control? Working on it.
Later, Principal Snyder, who we haven't seen in a while, is assigning Willow the task of tutoring a dumb jock. And I like how he brought up the swim team coach using rejected Soviet technology to turn the swim team into giant fish monsters, like it was just that thing that happened. In the library, Willow's telling Buffy how she's tired of being pushed around by everybody, assuming that she'll always just do as she's told.
And then Giles pops in, eating a lollipop.
And pushes her around and assumes she'll do what he tells her.
Faith and Wesley come in from training.
Faith making no comment about now being evil and in cahoots with the mayor.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that for a while.
Even though it was the episode right before this one.
And as Buffy gets ready to go train herself, Faith says, "Good luck. What a bitch." Oh, that's why I have that comment, because that's where I remembered.
Willow's attempting to access the mayor's secret files, which Faith finds interesting and goes to tell the mayor about.
And checks out the fancy apartment he has hooked her up with.
He tells her they need to kill Willow, and I was against that decision until he mentioned that he gave her a PlayStation. Cool, dude. Gonna boot me up some Masters of Teräs Käsi. It's gonna be sweet.
Willow talks to Oz, and she is sad that she won't get to see his band play, and worries that he thinks she is boring. What an interesting conversation.
Dumb Jock reveals that Willow is actually going to do all of his work for him, and she's upset that he's pushing her around too.
Buffy and Xander talk to her about how reliable she is for having her own homework done, and she gets upset. Even more. You can always rely on Willow to have that kind of reaction.
Anya asks Willow for help with a spell, so they proceed to do it later, still in the school for some reason, and her end goal is to pull her necklace through time so she doesn't have to be immortal anymore.
And there's no way that could possibly go wrong. While they're performing the spell, images of the alternate universe from The Wish flash, and Willow interrupts it, causing her vampire self from that universe to disappear.
And Willow's freaked out about the whole thing, and the necklace doesn't appear, which annoys Anya, and she smashes the plate.
Even though she could always have just gone to Michael or whatever his name was.
Probably could have used Rat Amy.
Magic is dangerous, Anya. It's not to be toyed with.
You idiot. You're always messing with that stuff.
Wasn't she doing it in the beginning of this episode? Didn't she almost kill someone with a number 2 pencil?
We see Vampire Willow waking up at the factory in this universe, confused, and she walks out into a world where no one is afraid of going outside at night, even though people still get killed by vampires all the time in this show.
That's why I became a member of Moo.
Mothers Against, or whatever.
I forgot what the M stood for. I guess I'll have to start do.
Not foo, fathers. You're going to go with dads?
Yeah.
Trying to sound cool.
And our slogan will be, do. Do does. I'll have to think on that one a little bit more. Do did it.
Do or die.
Do. Oh, I like that. Yeah. You should be in the group too.
Well, I disowned my children, so I don't think I would qualify anymore.
Well, that could be dude. Put disowned as the last D.
Vampire Willow goes to the Bronze, where we get yet another pretentious-ass band.
Singing about chairs and heads and mouth keys. It's the dumbest song I've ever heard.
She encounters the dumb jock, who says she's supposed to be working on his homework, so she beats him up and threatens to kill him.
Xander breaks him up, and she's initially happy, but then upset that he's not a vampire too, because she still hasn't figured out what's going on.
Then Buffy walks in, and Vampire Willow leaves, but before she goes, she shows that she is a vampire, and for some reason they still just let her walk away.
Well, that's necessary, because Buffy always lets the bad guys just walk away.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. It's consistent character growth.
It's part of the unwritten Slayer code. Even though there probably is a written Slayer code somewhere.
Yeah, they talked about the handbook. Vampire Willow gets ambushed by 2 vampires sent by the mayor and beats them up and tortures them for information.
She continues to break bones until they tell her that they work for the mayor, but she says now they work for her, and she's going to make the world the way it should be.
Buffy and Xander report to Giles, and all I could think was how surprised I am that none of them have actually gotten bitten or killed yet.
And they're lamenting the loss of Willow when regular Willow enters the library.
There are some jokes.
Willow, you're alive. Aren't I usually?
Oz talks to the singer in his band. I don't remember his name or especially care, and there are some good jokes about how they aren't that great.
Angel shows up looking for Buffy when a bunch of vampires bust in, led by Vampire Willow.
They trap everyone in, and Oz tells Angel to go get Buffy.
Then he tries to talk to Willow, and when she expresses her confusion, Anya tells her what's actually going on, and she doesn't belong to this reality.
The whole time I was thinking about how all this already happened back in the first 2-parter, and then there was that werewolf attack in phases. If you combine all that with the cockroaches they keep talking about, and then there's all the crappy bands, and there's all these dumb kids, yeah, you would not catch me there.
My band's name is now going to be Mouth Keys. And we're going to be pretentious as fuck.
Well, I'm sure you'll be playing there every night.
Back at the library, Angel shows up and uses the word cadre out loud like it doesn't sound stupid as hell.
She's there now with a cadre of vampires looking to party.
Oh, man. Okay.
I tried that once and I just got beat up. It was a whole cadre of bullies.
He is surprised to see that Willow is actually alive, and they say they'll go take care of the vampires at the Bronze. Why didn't they go looking for Vampire Willow after finding the real Willow?
Because that would make sense.
Willow asks what they're going to do with the other her, which was a dumb question because they don't even know what's going on yet. And she tells the others to go on ahead while she heads back to the library to grab something.
And it turns out that Vampire Willow is there and takes her captive.
Vampire Willow says she wants normal Willow to send her back to her own universe, and she gets all creepy with her other self.
But Willow manages to get away and shoot Vampire Willow with a tranquilizer. And then they put her in the cage with all of the weapons. Do they not have some other holding area?
And now we know that apparently the tranquilizer darts work on vampires too. I wonder if that's ever going to come up again.
I doubt it.
They discuss what to do about the vampires at the Bronze, who conveniently are supposed to wait for Vampire Willow to get back before they start feeding on anyone.
Their plan is to have good Willow pretend to be evil Willow, while the rest of the gang is outside as backup.
Why would they put the real Willow's clothes back on Vampire Willow? Just give her a f***ing blanket or something. I don't know. I mean, is she still going to want to wear that clothes after it's been worn by a dead person now? If she gets her own clothes back?
Yeah, it's kind of gross. When Willow gets to the Bronze, it's expectantly goofy, and she's comically terrible. But she does have some self-realization with her evil monologue.
She's always letting people walk all over her, and then she gets cranky with her friends for no reason.
She tells Anya that she killed regular Willow, and one by one tries to send vampires outside to get staked.
But eventually her cover is blown.
When Anya realizes what's going on, she says,
"If she's a vampire, then I'm the creature from the Black Lagoon."
She must have gotten her episodes mixed up.
Meanwhile, Vampire Willow wakes up inside the cage when Cordelia comes in looking for Wesley, which I thought was interesting.
And Vampire Willow tries to get her to let her out, but she decides to talk to her first about how she stole Xander from her.
But eventually, Cordelia lets her out, and when it's revealed that Willow is a vampire, she runs, but is saved by Wesley, and he continues his obsession with a high school girl.
Back at the Bronze, Willow alerts the others, who take forever to come in.
And there's a big fight. I liked how Angel chucked a billiard ball, because that doesn't happen enough in bar fights where it could be a very viable weapon. And there's 15 of them.
Yeah, but in this case you're fighting vampires, so it's not really going to do anything.
Crack their skulls open is what it's going to do.
I guess. Willow punches Anya, and as she and Oz try to escape, they encounter Vampire Willow, who tries to kill normal Willow.
Buffy runs to help and is about to stake Vampire Willow, but regular Willow tells her to stop.
Vampire Willow says that world is no fun, and regular Willow relates. It was kind of a dumb moment.
Agree.
Giles prepares a spell to send Vampire Willow back, while they talk about how they couldn't bring themselves to kill her.
They managed to send her back to the moment she disappeared, but it's right before she gets staked, which was awesome.
I agree. Later, Willow talks to Buffy about not wanting to misbehave and turn out like Vampire Willow when the dumb jock comes by.
Turns out he wrote some history reports because he's afraid of Willow, and is now a little bitch.
And I'm hoping he will now be a recurring character.
I'm pretty sure he was in the credits as Jock turned bitch.
Buffy asks if Willow wants to go out later, and she says 9 is okay, which I thought was pretty late, but whatever.
Okay.
Doppelgangland. Overall,
Thank God, this show is finally getting better. I'm impressed with the way the season is heading. It's so much better than pretty much everything that's come before, even a big chunk of this season. The humor is actually funny at times, and giving the characters something to do that actually makes sense is refreshing, although that still hasn't really happened for Cordelia. I'm still waiting, because earlier it seemed like they were trying to give her a character arc, but now she just kind of shows up.
I agree.
Using Anya as a catalyst was an interesting choice, and I wonder if she's going to be a recurring presence. Since Amy is still a rat, will Anya be the magic replacement character? Kind of as a, I don't like you guys, but I need help sometimes?
Yeah, the new Cordelia.
And what happened to Anya at the end? Because she was there when they were doing the spell. Did the gang do anything now that they know she used to be a demon? Are they going to keep an eye on her?
Yeah, I assumed they just murdered her off screen, but I could be wrong.
It was an interesting concept to put Mirror Universe Willow into the regular universe, and it's good that we got a Willow-themed episode that actually gave her things to do and explored her character, and played into her feeling like she was always being pushed around. I really liked her goofy acting. It's an example of the humor working for me, and not just being stupid masquerading as funny, which has happened a lot in this show so far. It didn't make a lot of sense that they wanted to help Vampire Willow at the end. She spent the whole episode trying to kill them pretty much, and in her world, she's a complete evil bitch. They should have just staked her. It didn't make any sense that they didn't, and then decided to help her. I'm glad that she died once she got back. But my most pressing question right now is, who owns the bronze? Are they upset about all of these fights and property damage and monsters all of the time? They probably have an insanely ridiculous insurance policy at this point, because things get trashed every episode. Maybe they save money by just hiring the shittiest bands they can find. That would make sense, seeing the music we get most of the time. But overall, I did enjoy this episode, even though there were more than a few things that didn't really make much sense. I gave it a B-.
I also gave it a B-. I thought it was a cool idea to bring back a character from the alternate universe, but I felt like they could have done a lot more with it than they did. I thought this should have been primarily a comedic episode, and there was some good humor at times, including Vampire Willow dying anyway when she's sent back. But I still came away feeling a bit ambivalent, partially because there wasn't enough humor. Plus, Willow's arc was a little too dependent on her being an idiot, which I suppose you could technically say is just being consistent at this point, but I really wish they wouldn't keep doing that. It wasn't a bad episode, it was definitely above average. I just wish there was a bit more to it. It seemed to be trying to get by just on the idea of Vampire Willow being there. But I agree that the season overall has been getting better. I just think it still has a lot of room to grow.
Agree.